Monogam-ish Podcast contains content intended for mature audiences. The views expressed here are for entertainment purposes only. Please enjoy the show.
And it brings up a funny story with the kid that I was telling you about earlier. At the age of 16, 17, he came up to me one day. He says, "Dad, I need to ask you a favor." And in my head, I'm like, okay, what's up? And he goes, I need a toy. I'm like,
this story.
You're fucking 16, 17. What kind of toy are you talking about? I'm thinking,
like
Dragon Ball
Christmas
Z,
present,
whatever, right?
Beyblades,
Nerd
He goes, no, I want a sex toy. Like he was looking for a pocket, toy, and I'm like, he's a funny one, right? So I'm like, yeah, whatever, and I just blew it off. Now, mind you, this was right before Thanksgiving when he brought this up to me, and I'm like, okay, so I just blew it off and just, he's being dumb, whatever. Then comes Black Friday. He goes, "Dad, I need to talk to you." And I'm like, okay. He goes, "No, I was serious about the toy. Could you buy this for him?"
And now, the conclusion.
So when it comes to other family, you shared before the show. So we'll talk to all of you guys, but you, Ray, you came out to your family about your lifestyle at what time?
So we did take that last live-in, as we'll call it, just live-in home, just to kind of feel it out. Like, hey, she's our friend. She's traveling with us. Like COVID, right? Like, kind of played it off just to kind of feel out the scenario.
Oh, yeah.
How people were going to react. And my youngest sister, I wouldn't necessarily see it in the lifestyle, but she's bisexual. She, is open to just talking to me about things. So she's the only one who knew her relationship to us.
Oh, okay.
And it was really funny because random things would be said that we just normally say amongst each other that I don't think about. And I would hear it instead of just say it and then immediately go like,
"Oh, fuck. Did I just say that?"
And so I kind of knew how it would be received, but I also knew that at that point I already knew that was not a long-term thing. So I was like, let's not rock the boat until So my older sister, she's actually my half-sister, she's gay. She's married, very happy. They're freaking amazing people.
Yeah, love her to death. Amazing person, let me tell you.
My older two brothers are very Mormon. They're
because that's how you grew up. So I'm surprised that your sister's gay.
I know, right?
So, okay.
Are they accepting of her?
I think the words were, "It's okay, we still love you." So, so they actually have a belief that, when you pass on, if you've, been in the church and you've done everything you're supposed to, then you'll be together for eternity. But in their minds, because she chose a different path, she won't be able to spend eternity with them. So that was one thing that they always said, "Well, I still love you, even though you won't be with us for eternity."
Oh, God.
And I'm
what
like,
a fucking religious thing, too, huh? Oh, my God.
So
I'd rather be here for a little bit of time and be happy than have all of eternity and be unhappy.
God.
Right?
God, it sounds
Right.
Oh, God.
So
it sounds like our shit, too.
Yeah,
oh,
so
God.
it's I'm just going to test the waters like nobody. And again, my life is my life. Like, I don't need to run and buy you and get an okay.
Thank you.
If I'm paying my own bills,
And does your
make my own
family,
decisions.
it sounds like they all live out of state.
Oh,
so
they
easier.
did live close by, and it's a weird scenario because her and I have been on our own for what? Yeah, for a long time.
Years,
Yeah,
15 years.
yeah, and we don't. I pride myself in making sure that I'm taking care of my family because that's number one, regardless of what's going on in my life. That's number one. But we've been on our own for so long that we've realized that we don't really need your approval to do certain things. We can do this on our own. If you can be part of this and love us, we'll love you regardless, whether you accept us or not.
As parents, we're going to respect what you say because we want our kids to respect what we say, right? So we're not going to, disrespect, but also after a certain point, times have changed,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Thank you.
and I have to accept that the way my parents raised me isn't the same obstacles that I'm dealing with my children now. I'm completely more transparent with my kids than my family ever was with me.
Which is so much better.
Yeah.
God, it should be like that from the beginning,
Yes.
though.
Yeah.
You
Sex
know?
toy.
You have so many insecurities as a kid growing up when you don't feel like you could talk about things.
Thank you.
Right.
And I don't want my kids to live through that, you know? So with my family and having, you know, that experience, I was like, all right, when, you know, if it comes to something serious and something that I know that I'm willing to rock the boat and take, because my mom grew up in a household where, you know, her mom told her how to live and what to do, and that was just how it was. And
Prison?
that's how I was raised. Like, if we had differencing opinions, like, she made sure that I was gonna do it her way. And you just kind of get to a point where you're like, okay, yeah, we're in a different state, so okay, bye, and you just do whatever you want. Because, you know, you're gonna get criticized either way if you don't do it their way, is kind of my mentality, right? So when it came to my lifestyle choices, I was like, I'm not gonna rock the boat unless I need to. So my older sister's gay, my younger sister, she's monogamous, whatever. Separated from her husband for a brief period of time and told everybody in the family that she was just spending time with her friend and she was auntie to her kids. I was like, I know the truth.
Oh,
But
shit.
I'm not gonna blast you because I love you. So you tell whatever version of the story you want. And so, you know, we respected that. And so I never put it out there, but I knew, you know what I mean? That didn't work out, and she chose to go back to her husband, and they're still pushing through. So that's awesome. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have your different experiences, and then I have my younger sister who's like, just go have fun. Like, who cares what anybody says?
She came and visited and stayed with us and knew the whole scenario way before anybody else did.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the night that so my dad passed like 2 years ago. And so the memorial, when I did the whole testing out thing, was like, okay, this ain't serious, so we ain't gonna rip that Band-Aid off. So time has, you know, gone by. So my mom, you know, normal call, checking up, and I'm teasing one day, like I put her on mute, and I'm like, this is how she is. Just be ready. The whole time you're gonna hear her tell me how to live my life at 30-something years old. She's still trying to tell me what to do.
Lecturing you.
My God.
She's sitting next to me. She's like, oh my God, she is. Oh my God. And I'm like, I know. So I finally, like, we had already made a decision to make a commitment to somebody. And so I felt like it was time that if we're ready to make this commitment, that I just need to rip the Band-Aid off.
Hell yeah.
So she's like going on one day, driving in the car. She's just talking. And I looked at her and she knew exactly, like, she's like, oh crap, what the heck? She's about to
Here it goes. It's about to go down.
It's
about to go down. It's about to go down. Oh my God.
Now, I won't ever make her make a decision that's, you know, she's not uncomfortable with or she's not comfortable with.
She's like, you don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
You don't have
I was
to say
like, you
anything.
don't have to do it. Yeah.
We're the same way. She had a very similar experience, but not like this. And the whole time I'm like, you know, some people are accepting, some don't. You don't have to say anything.
Needless to say, when I said it was a very short conversation, and we have not spoken since.
Oh my God. How long ago was that?
Mind you, my dad's probably up in heaven laughing his booty off.
Right?
I'm so proud of you.
Right?
He's like, I'm in heaven now. I don't have to deal with any of that.
Oh my God.
But
How long ago was that?
That was, what, 2 months ago?
A little after Thanksgiving.
Oof.
Was it worth it?
It was, actually, because I felt like there was always a part of me that my family, and it was funny because my youngest sister literally texted him. He didn't even know yet. And she texts him. She's like, oh, so we're just putting it out there. And he's like, what? And so then I called and I told him, and he was like, oh, that's what she's talking about. Because of course my mom called my sister.
Shit.
Okay.
And I was like, I told my sister, don't tell her you knew. She's
Right.
mad at you too.
Right. Oh my
Guilty
God.
by association.
I know.
Exactly. Yep.
She's like, Mom, why would you say that? And she's like, she told me. She's like, oh, well, Mom, you know, it is what it is.
Right.
I was like, thank God, I don't want her mad at you too.
God.
It's hard to have to hide such a big part of who you are from anybody.
When I
Absolutely.
watched my sister do it, it took my older sister 2 years, 3 years before she told my parents, but I knew I mean, if we're being realistic, my boyfriend that I was dating knew before me. I was like, no. My sister would tell me.
She was dropping little breadcrumbs,
like,
and she wasn't picking up the breadcrumbs.
She's just like,
your boyfriend was like, oh, dude, she's definitely a
We would go visit her, and he's like, your sister's gay. And I'm like, no, she's not. Like, my sister would tell me we're close. Like, hello, we lived in the same room when she moved here from Arizona. Like, I was like really in denial because I lived in Texas at the time. And he's like, no, she is. Just pay attention. No, they're friends. They're friends. He's like, nobody gets up every morning and makes their day bed with 50 pillows and a comforter and stuffed animals, Rachel. This is the room they're letting us sleep in. They sleep in the same bed. And I'm like, whatever. And then it was probably, I think he was dropping hints that he knew, like when we would go visit. So she finally like called and she was like, hey. So, and I was like, damn it.
No shit.
And she's like, what? Are you upset? And I was like, no, he knew before I did. That's not okay.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's what you're mad about? I was like, girl, do you? Whatever makes you happy. She's like, you don't care? And I was like, if we're being realistic, I've been attracted to women since I got into high school or middle school, and I could identify what the heck I was feeling.
She was a dance band manager.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so
you don't get to
I'm
see
sure
as much if you're
fantasies went through the roof.
You get to see more when you're like supervising.
Oh my God.
Those bus rides, the girls is very dirty. Okay, very dirty. I was like, I know where I'm gonna sit on the bus, right in the middle. So, but like, it was not something that was accepted in our family. So for her to like finally like, hey, I was like, wow, that's freaking awesome, and supported her and kept the secret because she knew my parents wouldn't be accepting of it and all of that. So I mean, her older brother, the middle brother, he's completely straight in a monogamous relationship, but he had a kid out of wedlock, and so they had already shunned him. She's like, I'm just gonna keep it. But then she found someone she was serious with. She needed to say it. She needed everybody to know, and so she did. And that was the funniest thing to me. Like, oh, it's okay, we still love you. I'm like, what? And I remember my mom saying, I knew it. And I'm like, yeah, right, you knew it. Whatever. Like, I was in denial. You don't get to say you knew it. So it was a very big deal for me to just like, you know what? I am. And I was like, she's sitting right here, da da da. And she's like, we'll talk later. And that has
God.
There wasn't a second talk.
No.
So Ray, does your family know?
Well, I did let my mother know before she did pass.
Okay.
My dad passed away about 10, 12 years ago now.
Okay.
About the time we met.
Yeah. And I was going through that process and whatnot. But I let my mom know. Now, mind you, my mom was raised very Catholic. I mean,
shit.
We're talking, let's go every day. Do something for the homeless or whatnot, or be and on Sundays we go to mass for the 3-hour mass.
Right.
It was that.
Your stepdad was military,
and he was also Catholic, so there was that.
Make sure you put it all in there.
My Lord.
However, my dad was always a funny guy. He was a Navy man all his life, so he was always a funny man, always hilarious, and I think that he would have loved it either way regardless. But I remember us going to Europe and going to big churches, like old churches, where and it was just such a big tradition. So when I was telling my mom, now mind you, it's just me and my brother that she's had, and my brother's always had a rough upbringing because he stayed with my real father, and I'm from Panama.
Okay.
And so she always knew me as the joker in the family. And I was always joking around, this and that and whatnot. And then one day, I had the courage to go up to her and say, "Hey, Mom, you will not believe the women that I've had this week." And she looked at me like, and she was like, "I," and then, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And then she goes, "What are you doing with your life and whatnot and this and that?" But when I actually found out where I wanted to be at and where the kind of person I was, I talked to her about it, and she was the most receiving person I've ever met in my life. And
as all church-going people should be,
right?
Right.
And she literally looked at me and she says, "What, son? I love you, and as long as you're happy and nobody's getting hurt." That's all that matters to me.
That is amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is amazing.
And, and those words were imprinted in my head. And in that moment, I felt so relieved, so open.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and
but I think you get that feeling even if they're not accepting. Because don't you feel relief?
Oh, it was a huge relief.
Yeah.
It was a huge relief.
It's just, it's out there.
Yeah.
And now I don't have to worry that, oh, she's going to see a picture on Facebook that she shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Or hear a story from my sister that she shouldn't have. Or I'm going to drop an inside joke that I shouldn't have said in front of her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have that constant thought process in the back of your head of having to watch everything that you say and do.
Right.
It's just, it's freeing.
Yeah.
And now I'm in the chat with my family from Panama because, like I said, it's just me and my brother up here. My brother lives in Wyoming, and I live down here.
Oh my God! Why the fuck does he live in Wyoming?
We asked him that.
What the fuck did you tell him, man? I left. You should come with me.
It's every conversation. Why are you still there? Like there's nothing there.
We offered him jobs. We offered him still stay.
Yeah. Do you?
Whatever,
Yeah.
You do you.
But I'm in this international group chat with all my family, and my family is huge. You know, Hispanic families traditionally are
Huge.
wide. So, you know, every now and then I'll post pictures of us three, you know, and my brother's throwing them breadcrumbs out there and throwing the breadcrumbs out there for me. And I don't have anything to hide. At this point, I'm happy with who I am. This is me. You either accept it or you don't.
Older brother, younger brother?
Older brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much older?
13 years older.
Holy fuck.
Huge age difference.
What's really funny? They're the same. They have the same biological parents. They were never married.
Yeah.
And she actually didn't even live anywhere near him for 12 of those years.
Yeah. So
that's how you guys.
You know what's crazy?
Together. Yeah.
My mom was a very attractive woman growing up, and my dad was a very attractive woman. And in Spanish, we have a word for him called mujeriego, which is basically a male whore. You know, he was.
I was like,
okay.
Yeah. He went out, and I mean, he corralled them for days, right? But he left my family when we were 2.
Oh.
When I was 2, sorry. And,
Okay.
And it was really difficult for me to connect with him. And, you know, I met him back in the day and stayed with him a couple times. But one day he did actually come up to me, and he you know, he sat down in front of me, which is a huge thing for a Hispanic man to sit down in front of his son while his son is standing up.
Okay.
And he, you know, he confessed to me, I'm sorry that, you know, for everything I did, you know, I chose this over this instead of what's important, which is you and your brother. And I mean, he let it all out. And I forgave him for that. I said, look, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be the man that I am today.
I wouldn't be a man whore if it wasn't for you.
I know, right? Thanks, Dad, for those jeans.
Share that on the Thanks for passing down that.
Hell yeah. Thanks a lot, Dad.
But I did.
Thank
you.
you.
Know, he actually did abandon his family, though.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Oh, fuck
and
yeah.
I would never do that to any of my kids.
Hell
I don't care what they are going through. I will be there.
Because you were on the receiving end of
Exactly.
how you know how that felt.
Yeah, and so I forgave him, and you know, and we moved on from that, and you know, he's still in Panama. But my brother is in this chat. He's dropping the breadcrumbs, and we've been talking about it a little bit, and finally he came out and, you know, said, hey, you know, that's his girlfriend, that's his wife, and the whole chat just blew up. And I'm talking like it was just messages after messages. I couldn't even answer them quick enough.
Good or bad, or like what
It was both.
Questions. We got questions.
It was
what the hell's going on?
Well, first they thought I was Muslim, and I'm like,
why? Because you got all. Oh my God.
They just want to take the religion out of it. They were still hoping he was religious. They weren't hoping he was polyamorous. They were hoping he was a polygamist.
Oh my God. Fucking Muslim. You got 2 wives now. Oh my God.
And I'm like, I'm not. I never thought I'd be in this scenario. I don't know how to explain it to you guys, but with time, I've been explaining, and it's weird because after some of their questions got answered, and I answered them in the best way possible, I'm like, look, I love them both the same. I've always been this kind of person, and why hide it?
Hey,
it's who I am.
You motherfuckers don't, you know, question me loving my kids any different.
Right.
Huh?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the reality, is a lot of people don't understand how love translates.
Right.
In different languages.
It would be hard as an outsider for me to go, okay, because we talk about polyamory a lot on the show, and there's different types of polyamory. And most common in previous years was a hierarchy, meaning like, yes, I have my spouse, but that's my wife and she's going to take priority and her needs and my time are going to go priority to her. But if I have some time left over here, I can go see my girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's now the new version.
Relationship anarchy.
2.0? Is it 2.0?
Anarchy is becoming a thing. Like it doesn't matter if I have a wife and we've been together forever. If I meet this girl and we connect that same way and we've grown our relationship to that point, I can feel the same way about them. But it's hard for somebody on the outside to go, but wait, you have 10 years with this woman.
Yeah.
Right.
You've been through XYZ. You have 10 years and 5 kids. You've already been through the loss of family members and, huge life events. How can that equate to a 6-month relationship?
You know what's crazy is that they love each other the same way.
Absolutely.
It's an equal love all the way around. In fact, her and I actually got into an argument one time. And she came in, you better go over there and make up with this woman. You better go grab her and you better apologize and you got to do this because I can't see myself without her. Then
that exact thing that you were just talking about. Yep. We have the relationship. So the way he reacted and the way she received that, I already know you messed up. You need to go fix that. And I'm going to close the gap because I do already know I have that time. Right. And I did. I called him. I was like, you need to fucking go fix that shit because she going to be coming back here and you will be sleeping on the couch.
Everything is downstairs.
Like, what?
Downstairs.
Like, kick me out of my, yes, I'm going to kick you out because you was wrong. Like, you got to be able to accept when you make mistakes because we do have 10 years. So what he did was react to a situation that I already know and I already understand, but she doesn't. Right. And it upset him that she didn't react the same way. And I'm like, you can't, because of that tenure, you can't judge a situation the same. So I ran straight there. I was like, you need to fix this. I get it. I know this is a learning experience, but she doesn't. You need to give her a chance and you need to explain to her that why you reacted the way you did so she can in turn understand and understand the growth that between, because there's 3 of us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's one thing to try to get to know one person. Their quirks, can I live with this? Can I not live with this? But now you're adding a third where we already have those things and now we're learning hers. It's the same amount of effort. And that's how we know it actually is love. It's not lust. It's not, completely sexual.
Because you're willing to put the work in.
Exactly. It doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like, oh my God, we've had this for 10 years. Now we got to start over. It's not like that. It's new and it's okay. Yes, I get it. You were upset, but she doesn't understand why you're upset. You need to explain it to her. It's not my place to go behind you and say he doesn't like this because of this or this.
And that's something that we don't do. And we've agreed not to do when it comes to that. Like we're not going to explain for the other person. If this is your beef, which I've already said before, if they're having something, I'm not going to put my input in. I'm going to let you write it, but I'll be there for support.
Hell yeah.
I'll be there to listen. I'll be there to be a backbone, but I'm not going to say, oh, no, you were wrong. Or no, you were wrong.
Good stuff.
No, that's a no.
And how does that work? So you guys have a relationship together. The 2 females. Is that separate than you? Like, do you guys do things without him? Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And so how do you feel knowing that they've only been together those 6 months and you have all this tenure and it is equal?
So for me, previous to us actually having another living in the house, he was very much more active than I was. So for me, I'd already kind of started adjusting to those kind of emotions because he'd be out with the guys and I'd get a text and it's a picture and he's like, hey, can I smash? I'm like, okay, cool. It was just a thing that as long as we communicated, I knew he was right.
Because that's physical.
So, right.
There's no emotions. There's no time really involved in that.
It kind of, I associated originally with that, okay, it's a sexual thing. Right. And with the last one, it was more difficult, 100%, because she wasn't attracted to me. And the few times that we did have and experience the 3 of us, because she was trying, right? She was trying to be open-minded. She wasn't really. It was awkward. It didn't flow. It didn't feel right. Like you just know she's not into it. Mm-hmm. And I think that is one thing that from that experience I was very concerned about. Okay. I was very concerned about how am I going to feel because they were from home. Like, how am I going to be okay with them having this other side of this sexuality, the pain that I don't indulge in? Like, am I going to get pushed out of that? I remember having all of those feelings with the, different experiences that as the beginning was, but it was just so natural. Like when they would tell me about what they did while I was at work, I didn't feel like, oh, I didn't get to do that or oh, that. It was more FOMO. Like, I wish I could have watched that. I wish I could have seen that. I wish I wasn't at work so I could have, just watched or been a part. Because, again, it was in a moment for them of something that they're experiencing together for the first time. So I don't need to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. But FOMO was definitely kicked in. And I was like, no, I'm not jealous of this. I'm not upset that we have all this tenure and now she's taking this time. Because she's not taking it from me. Mm-hmm. It's us building something. They have a connection. We have a connection. And then we all have a connection. Oh, yeah. And it's just easy. And it's not forced.
And I do things. One of the things that when we first got together was we need to do separate dates. Mm-hmm. You and me, you two, in this way. Mm-hmm. And it's important because it's part of the relationship building process.
Absolutely.
And the third doesn't always have to be there for us to have a great time, but it's a good time to connect with what we do connect with, because I connect differently with her than I do with her.
Absolutely.
It's the same way.
But however, the love is there. And that's what's important to me. Mm-hmm.
So we didn't get to yours. Have you told your family?
So I did come out to my mom over Thanksgiving this past year. And that was...
She didn't just come out to her mom. She was like, hey, come into our house and meet everyone.
She invited her over for Thanksgiving.
You just dropped it on her like that. Yeah. Oh, wow.
That one was very nerve-wracking, for sure.
I believe it.
So I grew up Catholic, just like you. Mm-hmm. And now they're not opposed to having homosexuals and lesbians in the family because I do have cousins who are. Okay. As for me, being in my family, being the firstborn and a girl, there was a lot of responsibility on me to be perfect for my family or to take on the responsibility for my parents when my parents aren't there. So I raised my siblings pretty much.
How many siblings do you have?
So I have 4.
Okay.
My older brother wasn't there at the time because he was in the military, or he still is, Navy. And my younger siblings, so I'm the second eldest, but out of my dad's side, I'm his firstborn. Okay. So I had a lot of, no, your image needs to be this. You need to walk out like this. You can't say this. You can't do this. It's always for the church. Yada, 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 yada.
Jesus Christ, you're walking on eggshells your whole fucking life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
It's the reasoning behind it. But it was very, very interesting when she did come out because we've been through this lifestyle for a long time, and we were such big advocates to that. You don't have to if you don't want to.
Right. Yeah. Correct.
But she felt like
it was important for me to tell my mom. Yeah. To tell my family. So the first person I came clean to was my brother, who was after me. Okay. And he was like, "Oh, I already knew that."
Wait, what? And so they didn't know you were bisexual or in a polyamorous relationship. No. So you dropped it all on him at the same time.
Yes. Well, he wasn't here for Thanksgiving. So I told him probably a month or 2 after we started dating. And he was like, "Oh, I already knew that." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" He was like, "I already knew you liked girls too." And I was like, "Okay, well, I guess it wasn't that obvious, right?" And then I told, I went out, July?
Yeah.
For my birthday to visit my parents and everybody. And I told my mom, and my dad wasn't there. And my little siblings were there. And so my other brother had said that I used to spell bisexual B-Y. And I was like, "Oh, yeah?" And my sister was like, "Oh, my gosh, that's so great. I still love you anyway."
Oh, I was like, that's awesome.
Right? And when I told my mom, her first reaction to me liking or being bisexual was, "No, why? And I'm like, wait, what? I was like, okay, I expected something, but I didn't expect it so blown up, like out there. And I was like, wait, what? And she goes, well, let's just wait until you talk to your dad. And I was like, well, typical mother talk, that's a no.
Really?
Yeah, because she doesn't want to say no. She's going to put it off on somebody else to say no. And I already know my dad's going to say no, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to give her time. I don't want to drop off I'm actually in a relationship yet. So let's hold off for a couple more months. And she decided to come out for Thanksgiving. And so I didn't tell her. I didn't tell her until she actually was here because I wanted her to experience it. And I owe her a lot more respect to tell her in person. That's me. My dad was not with her, but my younger sister was. And she has already met Ray. And she was like coming in like already knowing. And my mom didn't. So when I told her, it was shock.
Oh yeah.
Like complete shock. And she said, well, is Rachel going to be okay with this? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm in a relationship with her too. And then she said that, well, do you think God will be accepting of this?
Oh, son of a bitch. Always coming with the religious shit.
And I looked at her and I tell her all the time. And I tell people who ask, if God made me the way that I am, wouldn't he accept me anyway?
Thank you.
Right.
So
thank you.
I had told her that. I said, if he made me who I am today, in his image, is what he said, then he would be accepting of me. And I have no problem with that. But religion tells you differently.
Right.
Or they take religion and make it differently.
Right.
Because it's a point of view of somebody else. Right. And I said, no, he actually said it. I made you in my image. Okay. So I'm accepted.
Yeah. So
I told my mom and I let her see it from a different point of view. And she said, I just need time. And I said, okay, well, we made dinner and I want you to experience them. I don't want to put you in an uncomfortable position. If you want to leave, they are understanding.
And she was texting me this whole time and telling me what was happening. I knew it was in the parking lot. I'm sitting in there. I like to cook sometimes.
Hell yeah.
Just sometimes. Not like every day. But
I fucking cook every day.
He does.
You do?
Great
Yeah.
cook.
Props to you. I can't do it every day. However, when I do cook, I have to be in a great mood and,
everything's got to be flowing, huh?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Because then you're like, I'm just going to put some of this in here and put some of that in there.
Some extra love.
Exactly. My mom was a great cook. And
fuck yeah.
All her food was amazing. And she one time told me, she goes, it's because I do it with love. That's why.
That's right. That's the extra ingredient.
That's the ingredient. So when she was in the car and talking about this, I was freaking out in the kitchen.
I believe it.
Just, how it goes in the kitchen. So I'm like, okay. And then she finally dropped the bomb, but when she did, it was kind of a revelation for me because I was like, I don't know how to act when she walks in the house because she's there. Yeah. And then she said, when you told her, what was it that she told you though?
She said that it would take time for her to accept. And she didn't mind coming in because we actually met Ray out in the front because she just got off of work.
Okay.
And she said, I would give this a chance, but I don't know. I don't know how I would feel. And I said, okay. I said, that's fine. I just want to make sure you're comfortable in coming in the house while they're here.
And then they walked in together and she went upstairs real quickly to change or whatnot. And her mom came into the kitchen and she just kind of sat there and I could tell because I knew what was going on. I'm like, okay. And then I looked at her and I said, can I hug you? And she says, yes. And we embraced for what seemed like forever. And it was a very fulfilling feeling of just, I love you and she loves me. And I could feel that energy between us. And it was very accepting at that moment. And she started crying. And I just held her even tighter when she did cry. And then she told me that, you're taking care of her and she's happy.
That's right.
And that's all that mattered to her.
That's
and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced.
Hell yeah.
For such a long time. But I now call her mom, and we've connected ever since. I call her, and I grab her phone and I FaceTime her on my own.
That's amazing.
It's such a beautiful feeling. Yeah, it really is. But
the other day he was trying to think of something because of the NFC championship. And he was like, I'm going to call mom. Or no, he was like, can I see your phone? And then Ray was like, don't call mom to confirm this. And he was like, oh, no, I'm not. And then all I hear is bling. And it was like, oh my gosh, hi. And I'm like, he called mom. He called mom.
And she confirmed what I thought, which was great because this means it was meant to be. So it is what it is.
That's got to be such a good feeling.
It was. But for the whole time that I knew I was going to tell her that date, it was just
anxiety.
Yes. It was everything.
So
it was
your
upbringing. It was, are they going to accept me? Because I didn't like to be in the spotlight.
Right.
There was a lot of pressure put on me before then. I'm taking care of the kids, making sure everything was okay, and helping out around the house. And so not being that perfect image in their head really screwed me up.
Oh, that was so hard for me too. That's me to a T. I'm the oldest. I took care of my family, took care of my grandparents, my parents even. Like I took care of everybody. So I took care of everything. Now I was the oldest, and that's just in the Hispanic, especially as being the female. You take care of everything when it comes to events and cooking and
everything.
And care
hosting
of elderly and family members and all of that. You take care of everything. And I was the perfect, straight A student, graduated high school at 16, graduated college at 18. Wow. I was the perfect kid.
Yeah, you had to make sure you set an example for the younger generation, no matter what it was.
And then Kenji came along.
They loved that too. They loved that too. He was a great guy.
I'm the oldest. But me and her differ when it comes to that shit. I'm like, dude, don't fucking give me all that responsibility. Like, like I have my own responsibility. Don't put that shit on me too.
But that's the difference, though. I think in Hispanic households, and I'm not saying that every household is like that, but especially in Hispanic households, that pressure on that firstborn child of taking care of the rest of the family and being that perfect image of the perfect role model.
Right.
It's hard to get through.
So if you've watched Encanto,
I love that movie.
Yes.
And Luisa is literally what that is. Luisa takes care of the family. Everything is on her back all the time. She needs to have that strength to help her family no matter what. And she beat herself up.
Right.
Because she couldn't.
Right.
And that's exactly how
all the time.
I know, same.
and so then I had siblings too that were the exact opposite. Like my younger sister, she was wild, she was crazy, she was smoking cigarettes at a young age, she was trying weed, she was trying all the things that I didn't even try until I was, way after
older
kids and a grown ass adult. And so now I'm coming to them and I'm like, okay, we've decided to do the podcast. So I got to rip this Band-Aid off because my parents are either going to find out from me or they're going to find out on YouTube.
Either or.
And I don't want them to find out on YouTube. So I remember sitting down and, we both went together and I'm like, listen, Dad, I got to tell you something. We're in the lifestyle. And, this is what we do. And I still love my husband and nothing has changed in our marriage or our relationship. It's still, everybody admired our relationship and still does. And this shouldn't change anything. And the first thing he says is, well, all I'm worried about is that I'm not going to see you in heaven.
When we're done. Wow. Right. Are you fucking serious? Wait a second.
Hold on. You cheated like on every one of your wives.
You're on your fifth. He's on his fifth wife, fourth wife or something.
And I'm like, this is a little hypocritical, but okay.
It always
if you're
blows
getting
my
into heaven,
mind.
I'm for sure going to be there.
God.
And that blows my mind is that there's a lot of traditional marriages that have failed because one or the other has cheated and gone outside the marriage.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, if you guys would have just talked it out, would it be really cheating?
Right.
Would it?
Or is
No,
it just
it
having
wouldn't.
experiences?
Yeah, it's just, and to credit to my wife, she loves thinking about me with other women, and she likes watching me with other women. And there's times where she'll sit back and watch, and it's and vice versa, same thing for me. But at the end of the day, I don't understand why there has to be that need to hide it. That's the part that bothers
being
me.
unethical,
Exactly.
cheating, lying.
Yeah.
God damn it. There's been so many fucking guys at the ranch that I've called out on that bullshit too.
It's like, why are you here,
it's
bro?
bullshit. I've straight up called him, dude, where's your fucking wife? I see that you have a ring finger, but you don't a mark on your finger, but your ring's not there.
Yeah.
Where's your wife? Oh, well, I thought, I would come here the first time. You're a fucking liar.
Yeah,
so does she know that you're here? No, so you're trying to cheat on her and lie to her. Oh my God. Oh,
here,
no.
of all places, here.
Yeah. Oh, here. Okay. Yeah. Oh,
She
God.
can come with you.
Yeah, she can come with you, but I don't know if she would like this place. But you do. Have you guys even talked about this? Get the fuck out of here.
That's reality.
God damn it.
That's reality.
Well, Leah, I have to ask you. You came out to your mom.
Yes.
Did you want kids?
Actually, I do. Not anytime soon, though. And I told both of them that. I was like, 28 or 30. And then my mom jumped in and said 35. Then I'm like, do you want me to walk on the cane while chasing them around or no? And she was like, no, you can wait till you're 35. It's fine. But yes, I would like to have kids.
So have you guys discussed that? How would you navigate that? Because by that time, you'll be empty nesters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. We talked about it.
So what's funny is that we actually discussed it even before we asked her to be our girlfriend because we respected the age difference. And my husband makes amazing looking children. So it's actually not the first time we've had the conversation. He had a friend a couple years ago in Panama. She's gay. And they wanted to have a child together. And so she had actually reached out to him because she thought it would be better if she knew the person that was helping her conceive so that there would be more of a relationship there for her child than just, going to a sperm bank or something like that. So,
but that's they're in Panama. Right. It's not really your responsibility, like in terms of financial and care and, things like that.
Right. So we had the discussion then, and it was really funny because I was like, well, can you? And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, I see how you are with your kids. Can you have a piece of you out there that you are not responsible for, that you are not in their life unless they need some kind of medical information?
Right.
So this was like 5-6 years ago that we'd already touched on this. So I'd kind of already had that, emotional, like, do I want him to? Do I not want him to? Kind of situation. And then obviously, when you don't have a connection with that person, you don't want an oops to happen. So there's always been that thing. You better watch yourself. Like, don't fuck up. Like, that's not okay. I'm not raising anybody else's kids kind of things, right?
Right.
So when we decided that we wanted to make a commitment to her, it was a question that came up even before we asked her. He's like, how do you feel? And it was literally, okay. Like, there was no hesitation. There was no, I need 50 questions answered. Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? It just felt so easy, so natural. Like, I didn't think of, well, we're going to be empty nesters and we're going to start all over. And that never crossed my mind. It was, I was able to find someone, fall in love, have kids, and raise my children. I'm not going to take that away from her just because we're all at different stages in our life. And so it is something that we've discussed since we've, made the commitment to her that, hey, we are okay with this. And she's the one that keeps putting the timeline on it. Because I'm thinking some Panamanian Samoan kids would be pretty hot. I'm just saying.
Oh,
I'd have
my God.
Very exotic children in school.
I could not even fucking picture having another goddamn kid right now. I'm trying to get our last one to 18 so we can get the fuck out.
To be honest with you, I was in the same boat, and the more and more I think about it, I'm like, but I love kids. That was like, it's my thing. Like, I love watching them grow. I love being a source of information for them.
And so do I.
That's amazing.
What's the age difference between you two, Ray and Lay?
15.
15 years.
Okay.
So when you're 35, he's going to be 50. So how do you feel about, pushing 70 when this kid is graduating high school?
Trust me, it's ran through my mind many times. And
I know.
I don't know. To me, I've never been in that scenario or seen that scenario. So, I'm not afraid to explore it either way, regardless. But I'm just lucky to have, it wouldn't be just by myself because, she's here. And then, so that makes it a lot easier for me. I just want to be there for seeing them graduate, seeing them walk down the aisle, whatever it is they want to be. I just want to be there for that. And just as long as I'm a good source of information for that, then we're good.
That's cool. You know, I'm all about kids too. But right now at this age, I'm all about like playing with them and giving them back.
You could take
that's why we have nieces. That's why we have nieces. I'm like, hey, you guys can come over. We'll play. We'll do all that shit.
And we love our kids.
And we love our
kids. 5 broke best friends. But they're also, you know, cock blockers.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
My daughter, the other day, we went to a party, and it was funny because it was like, it was a pajama party.
Well, hold on. A little bit of background. She will come in and sit in the room while we get ready to go out to an event. And obviously, you can imagine some of these events, we're dressed pretty, you know, you're about to walk outside of that. So, and she sits right there and she's part of it. So this particular party was a sweats party, great sweats party. So we're putting on sweats, she's like, oh, you guys are staying home? I thought you were getting ready. Oh, we are, we're going out. She was like, where are you going? Is it a pajama party? And we were like, kind of. Oh, yeah. She's like, I want to go.
She's like, I'm in my pajamas. It'll take no time whatsoever.
She's got a Pikachu onesie. She's got a Bambi onesie. She's like,
totally ready.
How do you guys deal with nudity in the house?
You know, that's a very sensitive subject. I want to make sure that that my daughter understands that it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, there's new beaches and stuff like that, and we're not out there exposing ourselves to our daughter by any means, you know. But I don't want her to be ashamed of it by any means.
Okay. There was an incident that I believe I was tying my sarong. It's what it's called in English. So, and I wanted to show a dance because I used to dance a lot of church stuff, and I was self-conscious just a little in front of her, and that was a discussion that was brought up because I didn't want to be disrespectful to her.
Yeah.
Right. And it was brought up that they are open with that. They don't want her to be ashamed of her body. So I said, oh, okay. I was like, this is going to boost my confidence too. Shoot, we're going to go down the same road. And so we did, but that was brought up.
Yeah.
It was hard for me too. Like, we had decided that Kenji always is walking around the house naked. It's 5 boys that we have.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's like, I had this issue with, I don't think that they should see their mom naked ever. But we live together and they shouldn't sexualize just nudity or bodies.
Right.
And so it took me a long time to like feel comfortable with it. And now they just like, they don't even notice.
Yeah.
They're like, they're oblivious to it. They don't even think twice.
Yeah.
Me and the boys have it. You know, have you seen that movie Waiting?
They do.
That movie Waiting. You know, like the dick shark cracker. You know, yes. Oh my God, I catch those fuckers all the time. I'll be standing on the top of the stairs. I'll be like, hey, come here. They'll be like, what? Oh, Dad, what are you doing?
It's like one of my top 5 movies.
Yes.
I
do that shit all the time, have forever, and they try to catch me too, and I'm all, nah, amateurs.
Yeah, exactly. Great movie. Absolutely, yeah. But it's been approached for us. It's always been that way. I don't want it to be a thing where it's like I'm ashamed of my body, or we should cover at all times, you know.
Or even just that it's the sexualization of it. Like, we don't want them to have that emphasis on, naked is sex, naked is sex, naked is. No, like it's not, especially when mental health is such a thing right now.
Exactly.
There's so much anxiety around it. You know, feeling confident in your own skin and your body should start at a very young age.
Right.
But you don't get that if everybody's like, no, don't look, don't cover, you know.
No, I know.
You need to cover up because they can't make good decisions. Like, come on.
Especially when the only nudity that you see is perfect nudity, right?
Exactly.
Once in a while on a Playboy magazine or, you know, something like that. And it's like, that's what I'm supposed to look like?
Yeah.
Right.
And that ends in your head.
Correct.
Yeah.
Anything below that, years apart.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's again, with the open honesty, the communication, you know, if someone looks different, you don't pick up fun of them. You don't, you know, it's the same way at the house, you know, like, of course we're not wandering around because we have elderly neighbors that can see into the house. We don't need anybody to have heart attacks. We live in an area where it's
seriously, we're surrounded by like, I don't know if it's just
it's a townhome area.
Like it's a retirement center. I don't know, but we
do not need to give anybody heart attacks, so we keep it to our room. Yeah. But she even at 9, has understood. Like I knock, and so if there's something going on, I don't enter. But if they're just getting ready, whatever, we change, we this, we that, and we don't make it a sexual thing, so that they don't associate nudity with sex.
Right. And we also coach her and make sure before she leaves the house, how to properly dress so she's not being sexualized either. Not putting it out there.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
She's been able to wear whatever the fuck she wants.
Yeah. That's right.
But she's also 9, so let's chill with that for a bit. Maybe 16, 17. We'll talk about that.
Dad's like, she's not growing up.
She's still not.
No.
So, but at the end of the day, what it boils down to is we've been very open about everything sexual with our kids, and it brings up a funny story with the kid that I was telling you about earlier. At the age of 16, 17, he came up to me one day. He says, "Dad, I need to ask you a favor." And in my head, I'm like, "Okay, what's up?" And he goes, "I need a toy." I'm like,
this story.
You're fucking 16, 17. What kind of toy are you talking about? I'm thinking,
like
Dragon Ball
Christmas
Z,
present,
whatever, right?
Beyblades,
nerd
He goes, "No, I want a sex toy." Like he was looking for a pocket, toy, and I'm like, he's a funny one, right? So I'm like, yeah, whatever, and I just blew it off. Now, mind you, this was right before Thanksgiving when he brought this up to me, and I'm like, okay, so I just blew it off and just, he was being dumb, whatever. Then comes Black Friday. He goes, "Dad, I need to talk to you." And I'm like, okay. He goes, "No, I was serious about the toy. Could you buy this for me?"
No, Adam and Eve is having a sale.
I've been researching it.
And it's Black Friday.
I've been researching
I can get it on sale.
Yes.
Okay.
And on sale.
Yeah,
so.
he had the whole information. I was getting there. He had the whole information.
Good for him.
It overwhelmed me big time. I'm
Why?
just sitting like,
actually, it makes you proud. Like, oh, damn, you did your fucking research. Hell yeah. Good for you.
But it all came so fast. I wasn't ready for it. I'm like, you gotta warm me
He's like,
up
I
to
thought
this.
you were kidding. I thought you were joking.
Yeah.
He's 16.
I was like,
how many fucking crusty socks and bending that fucking
I don't do his laundry. He does his own laundry.
So I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, okay, you're serious. I'm like, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm serious." I was like, "It's a Black Friday sale. Could you buy this for me?" And I'm like, "Why do I need to buy this for you?" And he goes, "Because I want it, and you're an adult, and you can buy it."
He's going to be so mad if he ever listens to the show.
Dad, we talk about politics.
He will be mad, probably. But you know what? I'm so proud of this kid. He's the coolest kid ever.
He's
he really
always
is.
in good spirits.
And whoever his partner is, they're in for a surprise and
he cooks, he cleans, he does his own laundry.
Good. See, our kids too. We raise them to be independent, not fucking dependent.
Knows how to change tires.
I mean, they're in for a treat. Let's just put it that way. The kid's well versed in everything, and he's good with money too. So that's that part. But yeah, So I was like, I can't do that. And
hey.
now mind you, it's your alarm thing. And
She's
now
going to bed.
The crazy part about that is that he has come a long way because he's been in it from the beginning. He has seen everything what her and I go through. His dad literally walked out of their life, and so I am the role model.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that he came up with me and actually talked to me about it was huge.
Oh yeah.
And I said, I don't know if I could do that right now, because I had to think about it. Now, mind you, the weekend happened. What happens on Monday?
Cyber
Monday.
Cyber Monday.
It's on sale again, Dad.
Double sale this time. It's Cyber Monday.
He comes up to me and he says, "Hey, Dad, it's on sale." They took another 20% off on top of it. And I'm like, fuck. He's serious right now. Like he's pressuring me, and in my head, I'm like, I'm about to buy my son a sex toy here, right? And
better than buying him a hooker,
right? That's what I'm saying. And that happens.
And I agree with that, but here's the thing: now, mind you, my moral upbringing on that. I don't know if I could live with me buying my son a sex toy, because to me it was like conflicting in my head in that moment.
Really?
So I said to him, I said, "Look, son, thank you for bringing that up for me. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're open with me on this. However, you have your own debit card, your own money.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know anything if something magically shows up here. That's all I need to hear, Dad. Bye.
Yeah. Paid expedited shipping.
Absolutely.
That showed up like the next day.
Absolutely.
He's like, I've been waiting for this pussy.
Since before Thanksgiving, and now I'm getting it.
I know. I could have had it this weekend. God damn it.
He was so proud of it. He's like, it's dishwasher safe and all this and that. He's telling me, I'm like, dude, I don't.
You have not fucking put the dishwasher and saw it, right? Oh, damn.
I'm like, first of all, I would never put anything in the dishwasher. Right. But at the end of the day, he's had this thing forever, and he loves it, and it's his thing. And it's funny because he always does bring it up on his own. So he would be mad to a point, but he won't be too mad because he understands that this is a good thing for him. Right. And again, it's his own thing.
That's
and I'm
awesome.
okay with it. I'm okay with it. Like I said, I just whatever.
And it's another one of those things that we don't, judge. Yeah. So it's open. It's talked about. We tease about it. Be like, really? You left it out again? Like, what the heck? Like, your little sister's gonna use that bathroom. Go put that shit away. And he's like, I forgot I left it out.
Yeah, it's got his own velvet case in it. And
So I'm like, he's gonna take real good care of somebody.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So we just, it's all discussed. Even to that point, even our 9-year-old has heard us teasing and joking. And when she gets to the point where she's like, hey, what is that? You know what I mean? Like, that'll be a conversation we'll have. But we're not hiding it. You know what I mean? Right. We're not making it a thing.
You better do that, Dad.
Yes, all you, Dad.
And I think that's the theme of the show, because being open, that's what we're here for, and that's what we're trying to normalize, is this lifestyle. Right. And we can't thank you guys enough for coming and sharing your stories.
Thanks for having us. Amazing.
You guys are awesome. Your energy, the love that you guys have amongst each other, I can truly see it. Like, I got goosebumps at one point when the two females were just locking eyes and looking at each other, and I could feel that love.
It happens a lot.
Well, here's to nothing more but happy more years for all of you guys. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for coming and sharing your story with
Thank you.
All right, Ishes, you know where to find us. Head over to our website, monogamishpodcast.com.
That's right.
And if you want more of this lovely throuple, I love how your names are Ray Ray and Lay, or Lay Lay Ray Ray.
Ray, and vice versa. Yeah.
If you want more of these sexy couple throuple, please head over and check out our Patreon, where you can catch their couch confessional.
Ooh, watch out now.
Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Bye, Ishes.